printing press,
Oh,
the printing press, the steam locomotive, the Apple II. These are inventions that move the world forward. These are inventions that changed people's lives. It is with these inventions in mind that I give you ProTip. ProTip is the killer app for Bitcoin. The media has been looking all over for the killer app for Bitcoin, but they've been looking in the wrong places. They've been looking at businesses. They've been looking at startups. But Bitcoin didn't come from a business. Bitcoin didn't come from a startup. Bitcoin came from open source. ProTip is an open source plugin for your web browser that allows you to passively reward the content creators for the content you enjoy. Let's break this sentence down because it's a big one. ProTip is open source. There's no tracking and no big data collection. There's no shareholders to reward or a reason to sell out the project. If there's a problem with ProTip, it will be forked, and the fork will win. If you have a new idea for ProTip, you can start coding today. The code is right there on GitHub. ProTip allows you to passively reward creators. Passively. We believe this is the key. No one has time to manually tip every video they enjoy, or to manually tip every article they read. Not only do you have to take the time to tip them, you also have to decide how much to tip them. Meanwhile, carrying the cognitive load that you're giving your money away. ProTip solves this problem by locally monitoring your browsing habits and rewarding based upon time. It also gives you the option to subscribe to your favorite sites. And finally, reward creators. ProTip allows the creators to choose their own Bitcoin wallet, whether from a centralized institution like Coinbase, a more decentralized model like blockchain.info, or even from their mobile phone with Airbits, or a paper wallet. ProTip is not another middleman trying to get a cut of the creator's reward. ProTip is an open source and free protocol designed to provide the micropayments infrastructure that the internet has always needed, and to do it securely and transparently, using Bitcoin to send value. I'm very proud of the great work performed by the ProTip team and deeply honored to be a part of this project. I'd also like to thank you, the viewers, the donors, who supported this project financially and helped spread the word about ProTip by commenting, tweeting, and much, much more. Your support made this project possible because we all believe in the same thing. Content creators should be rewarded for their work in a secure, automated way using the digital currency, Bitcoin. And that is what we have created today. I give you ProTip. Downloadable today at protip.is.
yay! So I didn't
Wow,
have time to
so over
animate
the
the part.
top, so much marketing, so much hype. My
I knew
God, I
that's
can't
what you'd
believe we're
say.
here. Can you believe that we're here after all that time? I just want to say thank you to everyone who funded us. That was like my second ever crowd fund, my most successful our, let's say our most successful crowd fund, I think, that we ever did. We raised about $12,000 or so, give or take, and that all went very quickly, of course. But it's now ready. You can download it at protip.is. It's been around for a little while. Rumors have been spreading. Of course, we had to have it up on the Chrome store just so that people could test it. Otherwise, how would anyone know? How would we get any feedback on it? So thank you to all of the beast testers that were sending us all the bugs. There's still some bugs in it, and we're aware of some of those. And you need to keep telling us about them, even if you think we already know about them, because we may not know about something that's obvious. If there's something that could be easier in the app, you need to tell us. As in the flamboyant video that Tom very kindly started the show with, it is open source. Not only is it forkable, we encourage you to fork it. If you have more resources than us, you have developers. We'd prefer it if you worked with us, but it's okay if you don't. We don't control the code in any way other than, just for our users. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show ProTip in action. I'm going to show it right from beginning to end. I'm a little bit ill, so please forgive me. I'm not my old self that I was a few months ago, but I'm going to do my very, very best for you. I'm going to share my entire screen. Okay, so this is ProTip that I have in one browser window. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the ProTip website. Oh, do you remember this? This is the Indiegogo site from ages ago. It feels like a lifetime away. So this is our new website. It's a brochure website. You can see there's no navigation. It's just designed initially to showcase artists like Kiskazilla and all the lovely people that sponsored us for $100 or more who have work that they wanted to show off. As promised, we will be featuring those people on our website. I don't know, maybe weekly, I haven't decided yet, but we'll be rotating it. And it just shows you how to use it. But if you just want to get started straight away, it's as simple as going to protip.is, clicking install ProTip, and what you will get is add extension. Look, 5 stars, 65 users. That's quite a lot of users considering we haven't even launched it yet. And straight away, you'll notice that it has appeared in your extensions up here. It's a little heart button, okay? You can either import your private key or you can use an existing one. Use your local currency up here. Now, if someone, of course, is quick enough, they can steal all my Bitcoins. They can type out that private key manually. Please don't, for the purpose of this demonstration. And straight away, you get taken to a home screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send myself some Bitcoins. This is your Bitcoin wallet right here. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to come over to my other version of ProTip, and I'm going to send myself, how much do I have? 0.5, I guess. That's, yeah, it's a nice amount of money. And just double check that is the right address. Yes, click send. And wait for that to come through. And so the way this works straight away, if I go back here whilst that money's coming through, if I refresh protip.is, what you'll notice now is that this Bitcoin address of Kiskazilla's is now highlighted in green and it has a little tick box over it. So what our app is doing is it's augmenting your experience. It's actually putting some extra content on top of the web page. It's looking for a Bitcoin address. It's finding it automatically. And when it finds a Bitcoin address, it's going to start a timer and it's going to look at how long you are active on the page. So it doesn't matter if the website's in the background, but if the website is in focus and you're using the website, it will now start a timer to see like how long you're using the website for. And the same with any website. Like this is Tinnitus Talk Forum, a very popular forum for tinnitus sufferers like myself. And you can see if I refresh the page now that the app is installed, you'll notice that actually it not only detects Bitcoin addresses, it even detects images that have the Bitcoin address inside of the title or alt tags. So if you know anything about HTML, you do any coding, if you have a QR code on your website with your Bitcoin address on it, you can also do that too. You can just put the Bitcoin address either loose, and look, I can switch between them. At the moment, it only supports one address per page, but we may change that in the future. Based on your feedback. And you'll notice like this. Now, also I noticed earlier on that CoinDesk, let's just see if this works. Yes, okay. So you see up here where it says Meta, this means that what they've done is they've actually put a special bit of code onto their website, which you can find in here. And if you copy paste, if you're a web host, if you run a forum, or if you've got a website, particularly if you've got a website that has comments, other people can come in and comment on, what you might choose to do rather than just copy paste your Bitcoin address like the guys at Tinnitus Talk do, what you could choose to do instead is copy and paste this code here into the header of the HTML. So like if you run WordPress, you go to Appearance, you go Edit, click on header.php, and then you'll know about this if you already host a website, and you just copy paste that, and then you just replace your Bitcoin address. And what that will do is it will prevent anybody else from trying to spam your website with their Bitcoin addresses in the comments field. So it will always take the Bitcoin in the header over anything that's displayed on the page. Okay, so it doesn't matter. So we designed that specifically for magazines, It will also obviously accept multi-sig addresses, so if there are multiple contributors, you can just use a multi-sig address between you, and it should pick that up. Let's just see how it's a live. Oh yeah, there we go. So the money's come through like almost immediately. It usually takes a bit longer than that. And let's just refresh the home page. Yeah, and you can see already now down here, weekly browsing, you can start to see that it's showing us a list of websites that we found Bitcoin addresses on, and they are ranked in terms of time. So how long we spent on them. It will only pay the top 10 websites that you visit in a week. So it's not going to pick up everything and sundry. You're not going to get people tricking you into giving Bitcoin by using clickbait, because you're...
Oh, we seem to have lost Chris's internet connection.
I think so, yeah. But as he was saying, I think he froze, but as he was saying, since it's time-based, that you're not going to get tricked by people just putting Bitcoin addresses on their site that are trying to trick you, because that was a concern, because you think, okay, it automatically detects a Bitcoin address, or what if it detects an address and I don't like that, or I didn't really notice that. Well, the idea is, if it's a website that you're reading, or if you're watching videos or listening to music and the address is there, that oh, Chris, are you back?
Yeah. Sorry, did I go?
Yeah, your sound went away. It looked like you froze for a few seconds, but you're back now. I was just saying that that it's time, like you were saying, it's time based, and the idea is that you're reading an article, listening to music, or watching a video, so that's going to show up at the top of the list, as opposed to someone just slipping an address here and there that you randomly browse through. That's it's most likely not going to show up on your top 10.
Yeah, exactly. Because even if they did, you can simply add them to the ignore by clicking on the cross tag here. And actually, whenever you're on the web, if it does accidentally pick up a Bitcoin address, let's say in your Twitter feed, you can see it appear very conveniently up here, right? So you get all your top tens when you click on it, and you go to the home page simply by clicking full screen, and then that will take you to your home page. So the first thing you want to do after you've deposited the money in there, and $11, I would say, I wouldn't recommend you put too much in there. So that's pretty good. What you want to do is you want to pay attention to this number here as I pull this slider up and down, okay? So this is how much your weekly donations are going to be. So that's $1 a week, and that's $2 a week, and that's $3 a week. So at $3 a week, $11.52 will last 2.8 weeks. That means that's 2.8 weeks of surfing, tipping on the web without you having to think about it, and then making those donations. In order to make the donations automatic, you simply click automatic. And what will happen is, in my case, on Monday, 28th at 5:03 p.m. my time, it will make a donation to whoever is in this list at that time. And I can take them off before then. Alternatively, you can do it manually, and it will just remind you in 7 days, and then you can do it. But what we thought was quite cool was, and of course you can reset that at any time, is this slider feature here, which, with more time and more contributors, hopefully if more developers get involved, we can make this UI a bit more self-explanatory. But at the moment, what we wanted to do was just do one thing really well, and we just wanted the app to function well. Okay, so once we've got it functioning well, we're going to start improving this. But we really like this feature with this slider, because this allows you to weigh up how much you want to give over what time period. I'm happy to give, $2 a week over a 4-week period. Done. Okay, and then you just leave it there. If there's anybody that you really like, for example, I'm quite a frequent visitor now to Tinnitus Talk because I suffer from tinnitus, and so let's say I want to make a regular weekly contribution. I simply click the little slider under the heart column, and then on subscriptions, you'll notice that Tinnitus Talk has now been added to the weekly subscriptions. That means that every week, or every time you hit donate now, it will always make a 25-cent donation or a $1 donation to Tinnitus Talk. You can add addresses manually if you want to and give them labels. And of course, and we encourage you to do this, you can also tip us as well. So you can just add ProTip to that list. Please do that because it will fund any future development as well. So that's really it in a nutshell. It looks a little bit complicated at first, I think, because we've never seen an app like this before. We've never had passive tipping. But Twitter wasn't obvious the first time people used it either. So what I'm really looking for at the moment, rather than like trying to encourage like millions of downloads and all this kind of thing, and then we can't keep up with all the feedback because, you know, there are people going to be saying, oh, it doesn't do this properly, or why can't you make it do that? What we want to try and do is just get it working, you know, really well for a small group of people. And I'm particularly interested in getting forums to use it, like Tinnitus Talk, or any of them, particularly around medicine, anywhere where they're hosting a valuable service for sufferers like an illness of some kind, where they've got to pay the hosting costs and they can't pay it, and if they can't pay it, then these people aren't going to get the kind of support they need. These are the types of websites that I'd like to encourage support for, because I think there's a good need there. I think there is an awful lot of them, and also because there aren't many websites that have Bitcoin addresses on them that aren't in Bitcoin for political reasons. And I'd like to see if Bitcoin can grow outside of that little inward-facing niche, personally. So if you're a member of a forum that you love and you've always wanted to support the guys there, drop them a PM respectfully and just, you know, say, oh, hey, look, if you put a Bitcoin address on your website, there's a whole bunch of people about to be using this app. Let's see, and, you know, tell me about it, and then I can feature them on the ProTip website, on YouTube, and on our Twitter as well. Okay, so thanks very much for spending the time listening to me give the little demo. Any questions?
I think Chris is making a great point here that ProTip is a small team, and what we're doing today is we're hopefully adding you to the team. So we need you to spread the word by using ProTip, putting your $2 in a week or whatever you want to donate to people, seeing how the software works, telling your friends about the software, and like Chris said, telling other websites to put a Bitcoin address on their webpage. They can get the Bitcoin address anywhere, Coinbase, Circle, any kind of thing. Just copy and paste it, put the Bitcoin address on there, and maybe they'll get some tips. And like Chris said, tell ProTip, we'll put it on the website, we'll feature it, we'll Twitter it, we'll promote that they are now accepting Bitcoin and that you can use ProTip to tip them. Theo, what do you think?
I think it's excellent, and I think that we need to question how we use the internet and what the internet is, and this is one of the questions. This is going to be, you know, an experiment, a trial on how we consume things on the internet for so-called free services. And I think this is a good tool to make it passive, as you said, so you don't have to think about it so much, and that's really great. And yeah, cutting out the middleman. You know, let's cut out the ad networks or these other service providers that take a cut when really, you know, it should be the content provider has a direct relationship with the person, quote, consuming or whatever you want, enjoying the content. Now, what I wanted to ask is, does it work with YouTube? Yes, it does. Does it work with SoundCloud? Yes, it does. Does it work with Facebook? Yes, it does. Does it work with Twitter? Yes, it does. Does it work with HTML5 websites? Yes, it does. So it's really cool because all you need, I like the minimalistic aspect of it, is dependent on 0 APIs, so there's no need to worry about updates of API or anything like that. As long as you're able to put a Bitcoin address on the website, even if it's a platform website of a third party like YouTube, then you're good to go. Then the person will be able to read your Bitcoin address. So it already works on Disqus, it already works on Blogger, it already works on WordPress, it already works on Vimeo, it already works on, you know, it works on Blab. It's a little confusing right now, but it does kind of work. And you know, I'm working on it. What it does on Blab is that it recognizes well, there's nowhere to really put your address except the chat. So anyone that puts an address in the chat, it recognizes. But it works. It does work, though.
It does work, yeah. I mean, basically, the take-home is that, unlike all other attempts at doing micropayments, the onus is no longer on the web host to have to install a widget, integrate with an API that could be discontinued at some point in the future or be blocked at some point. Literally, all the web host now has to do is copy paste a Bitcoin address, and all that involves doing is downloading a Bitcoin wallet, and that takes all of, I don't know, about 10 to 30 seconds. You can download Hive Wallet or Bread Wallet on the phone. It's very, very, very easy to get a Bitcoin address. So we're shifting the onus away from web developers to look, because there have been attempts to do this before, like Flatter, for example, which never really took off, because the problem was that web hosts had to set up an account with Flatter. At the time, they had to go through a whole bunch of regulation. They had to send in their passport and their bank details and had to be approved before they could do it. And then they had to tell all their fans that, okay, now you've got to click this little widget button in here. And by the way, you've got to also set up an account, go through all the regulation procedure, top up your account with your card. This is a much, much easier system. For the web host, all they've got to do is copy paste a Bitcoin address on their page after downloading a Bitcoin wallet. And all the senders have to do is what I literally showed you. Go to the ProTip website, click one button, click add, and you're done, and that's it. And the app is installed and you're both ready. Now, the other difference with Flatter and also Patreon and other attempts is, again, it's open source. So it doesn't matter if I get run over by a bus or whatever happens, the code is there. Someone else can pick it up and run with it. In fact, there's AutoTip, there's CoinAwesome, there's other people attempting this. Not quite with the same gusto and the same level of commitment as us, because we're a little bit more organized, and we've already got a large following thanks to you on YouTube and on Twitter. So we've got a lot of momentum behind us, but I'm not precious about this. If somebody else wants to take the code, just like my World Citizenship ID project got forked lots of times, I don't care if you fork this. This is good because it means that the artists benefit from it, and that means that we're winning. We're winning when everyone wins. So there are some things to say. It doesn't work as well on dynamically loading web pages like Twitter and YouTube, where sometimes what the website does is it attempts to cache things. So sometimes what you'll notice is you might have to refresh the page for the app to recognize the address. If there are any JavaScript developers out there watching this, please get in touch with us, because we're currently trying to fix it. We've made it better than it was when it was first there, but we're still noticing that it does it now and again. If anybody has special knowledge of JavaScript, we'd love somebody to be able to fix that. But also remember, like if you're a YouTube host and you are putting your YouTube videos into a blog and you're finding a lot of traffic comes in via the blog, don't forget that you can also, of course, put the Bitcoin address underneath the video in the blog, and that won't be affected by any of the dynamically loading scripts that YouTube and Twitter use.
And just to follow up on Theo's point that it works anywhere, here's a picture of this video that we're watching and doing right now. And just a second before we launch, Chris copy and pasted the Bitcoin address to me. I threw it in the description there, and as you can see, it's highlighted by the ProTip green box as a check mark next to it. And as I'm sitting on this web page, it's timing it up here, and it's going to tip to ProTip. And that's it. That's all you have to do is just watch the video.
Yeah, I heard that there's ProTip XT is coming out, so be sure you decide which side you're on. No, I'm just joking. But like you said, you can fork it. You could improve it. You could do ProTip XT. You could do ProTip TG or ProTip OG or however one you wanted to do. And I think if you're really into altcoins, you could probably get it to work on your altcoin, because all you'd have to do is just make it work with the altcoin wallet. Right now it's a Bitcoin wallet. As long as if you're a developer, I'm sure you could figure out how to get it to work with whichever altcoin wallet. So that's also opportunity for them. Or you could have a multi-tipper, or all these things were all talked about. But right now with the crowdfunding, I think that there's really been a lot done. And also, ladies and gentlemen, this was crowdfunded. Think about all those projects. Not that they're not good projects and do good stuff, but think about all the ones that offered IPO, ICO, token 1, 2, 3 ABC, and how fast and how responsive they were in delivering the software or the service that they are or developed or are still developing, as compared to this open source project that was, crowdfunded and delivered relatively quickly and did what it said it would do. So I hope to see more responsibility of delivering on time and doing what they say as far as any crowdfunding, IPO, ICO, or token ABC123s, any of that stuff. So let's hope that sets a new standard, and I hope that people do what they say they're going to do.
And Theo brings up a good point. As you can see here, looking at the Indiegogo page, we only raised $6,000. If I scroll down, I can get the total with the Bitcoin included, $12,000. This is really an incredible project that Chris and Leo have put together, and especially we want to recognize Leo's work programming it and Chris's work being the community and keeping it together and talking to Leo back and forth on the features and everything. This is an incredible project that we're now giving to you on the internet, and that's why I'm really serious when I say, like, somebody out there, I don't know who you are, you could be, my camera's not working, but you could be the Johnny Appleseed of ProTip. You could go from website to website to website, giving them a short introduction. This is what Bitcoin is, this is how you download a wallet, and here's how you copy and paste your Bitcoin address from the wallet to your web page. And once you've done that, you're accepting tips. And like Theo was saying with the forks and the possibilities, if you fork ProTip into Joe Tip or Freddy Tip or Mega Tip or whatever you want to call it, it could still use this mechanism of reading the Bitcoin addresses off the web page. And if we all work together to get web pages to add their Bitcoin address, we could use any kind of tipping extension to reward those people. It's just a matter of getting them Bitcoin, getting the address on the page, and then telling people, hey, they accept Bitcoin now, and you can use ProTip. What else do you guys think?
Yeah, and on the timeline, we're way ahead of schedule. Our promise to you is that we would have this by December. It's September, so we're way ahead of schedule. We also launched the pre-launch early as well. We were about a day early, deliberately, sort of cheekily did that. We didn't, though, raise enough money to put all of the extra features that we loved. Do you remember these ones? The Firefox extension, the secure feedback system. However, that we are planning on doing a content pass, and I want to talk about this. Obviously, subscriptions, yeah, subscriptions made it in, not the advanced subscriptions though. Okay, yes, not advanced subscriptions. We didn't get time to do that. However, the content pass, Leo, who's amazing and he's worked incredibly hard, works way harder than me actually, if I'm honest about this, because I got ill and all of that. But he's still, nevertheless, even though we didn't reach our target, working on the content passes. Now, we've got a little mea culpa. We said in our video that it was completely decentralized and there was no server to send back to. Leo's looking at it at the moment. It looks like to get the content passes working, we will probably have to have some kind of server running. And that's because otherwise there's no way of giving the artists the opportunity to hide their work until the payment is made, until that is Ethereum is up and running properly and we can do it on that. So what we're planning on doing, with your permission, because we don't want to break any promises, but if you give us your permission and you say it's okay, then we will roll out a content pass system. Now, if you were part of the demo, you would have seen what that looks like. It's a little snippet of code, a little bit like when you embed a tweet into your blog. They give you that little bit of JavaScript, and it shows up like a regular tweet in your blog. Well, it's like that. Except I think we're planning on doing it in PHP, just because PHP works on every web server in the world by default almost. And what it will do is it will allow a content producer like a blogger or a vlogger the ability to hide the content away from the person until they've paid a small amount of Bitcoin. And it will present them with a QR code, so if they're not using ProTip, they can just pay using the phone. But if they are using ProTip and you've got the right setting in ProTip, all you have to do is click the actual icon and it will let you view the material straight away. Okay. The only way we could get that to work was with a server running. We couldn't get it to work decentralized because there's no way of concealing the content and helping the artist pay. Now, what does that not mean? That does not mean that the web is suddenly going to grind to a halt because everyone's going to be demanding payment before you view it. The way our code is going to be structured isn't going to be in such a way that the content is behind a password protection. It's essentially a URL shortener, if you know how those work. It's essentially going to hide the content on a public part of the web, on their website, on the content producer's own website, but at a strange URL, right? At a weird one that's hard to guess. So you can still share the article. It's not a paywall. We prefer to call it a velvet rope. It's porous wall. It can still let people in, but only with permission. And that's there to reflect the fact that people put in a lot of work when they're writing these blog entries. Of course, it's entirely up to the content producers what they choose to do. They might choose to give away 75% of their content for free, and they might say, but actually, you know, when it comes to a lot of my research on stem cells or whatever it is they're doing, because I've been researching all these doctors recently who are, you know, talking about their research. They're like, look, I've just poured 8 years of my life and you just want me to tell you everything like over the web. You know, I need to pay my student loans back. So maybe this researcher, when he's collaborating with these sufferers of hearing problems and tinnitus, wants to say, I tell you what, if you can raise me, you know, $2,000 in the first year, after that I'll let anyone have it. You know, and it really just is the people that want to pay for first access that end up subsidizing everybody else. And in the words of Amanda Palmer herself, who was a pioneer of this whole crowdfunding micropayment movement, she says there will always be a small but consistent group of people who will pay for art. And that's absolutely true. And it's true for you. Somewhere in the world, there is somebody who wants what you have to give and you have to offer. And it's just a question of you finding those people. Right? And when you've connected with them, I have the belief that they will subsidize all the other people that will just take your work for free. I really do believe that. But you've got to put it, you know, into practice to find out. There's really no downside to you installing this app. I mean, it's open source. The code is on the ProTip website. If you scroll to the bottom of the page, the link to the GitHub is right there. If you're any concerned about any phone home features, you know, go in there. Okay, now we're about to get censored because Blake's come on. Oh no, Blake, don't ruin it.
So I mean, I was gonna say there's a huge downside to installing this, because then, you know, you're gonna make it so that the NSA can get into your computer.
Not at all. Not at all. You need to go to the GitHub and look at the code or show it to a friend who knows how to code and say, does this do anything? Does this phone home? Does this tell Chris and Leo what your private keys are? Doesn't do any of that. But the content path that we're building at the moment may need to run a service. But of course, you know, we're going to open source that code too. So other people will also be able to provide that third-party service. And also on this whole Bitcoin XT, you know, again, our app demonstrates that this micropayment is not a problem for the existing Bitcoin infrastructure. It batches the payments periodically. Let me just show you actually. Let me just show you what this does, because the way it works is that, where am I? Here we are. It batches all the payments up, right? So if I want to, I can just pay now, and I can just say yes, okay, pay all of the people in my list of people. And I click on payment history, and there it is. Okay, that's the payment. Look how quick that was. And what it does is you only pay one fee, right? You pay 2 cents, but you pay all these people for the same amount. And that's because of the way Bitcoin works, is that it's based on data, not on amount. It doesn't care how rich you are. And the reason it's relatively expensive, like 2 cents, I guess, per transaction would be expensive, let's say if you're from a developing country, is because unfortunately that's just the net cost of communicating scarcity across that much distance in space and time. It really
securely communicating scarcity.
Yeah, securely. Now, in the future, there are, you know, proposals like Lightning Network. The way we do it now is currently the best available way of doing micropayments. If you're willing to wait a week for the payment, this is by far the most efficient way of doing it. And there are other companies out there as well that we're also looking into that have APIs that claim that they can send them even more efficiently using compression and clever secret source. But as far as I'm aware, the way Leo has come up with is by far the most efficient way of sending these transactions. You're not going to get stung on fees, and it's not going to jam up the blockchain either, because it's going to efficiently pack them all together in nice compressed batches of transactions, rather than like pinging them out individually and stress testing the network. This is not going to slow the Bitcoin network down. It's going to grow the economy because it's going to increase the diversity of users in Bitcoin. It's going to get lots of people into Bitcoin, not just those that are politically motivated, people that actually need it. And that's what we need. And that will provide the resilience, and that will provide support for all of you that are sensitive to the price fluctuations too. So all you braggers on Whale Club, Ash Drake, who come in and like, oh look, oh you idiots, you all got wrecked over that drop. I made X number of coins. Well, why don't you send some coins into ProTip, and then your coins will be worth even more, and then you'll be able to like brag even more because you're distributing the coins out. Guess what's going to happen? Okay, God, I can't believe this is hurting my head to talk. I'm so excited though. Guess what's gonna happen?
You're calling out the king of the bears.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Well, for sticking, he's a permabull. You traders who spend all day looking at charts, you want your Bitcoins to go up in value. What do you think is going to happen, yeah, when lots of people that are not into Bitcoin suddenly start receiving these payments? You think they're just going to cash this out? No, of course they're not just going to cash this out. The Bitcoins are going to come in. Some of them are going to spend them. Some of them are going to go to purse.io and they're going to convert them into Amazon vouchers. And some of them are just going to sit on them and they're going to speculate just like you. And the more people that do that, the more diversity across different time zones, across different cultures, across different needs, different people, more support comes in the price. The more important Bitcoin becomes, the more vital the price becomes, the more important it becomes for the price to be supported. And so, when you do make that windfall payment and come into Whale Club and brag about how much you've made and how good you are at making profits, send us a donation or install this app and give some away. Whichever, I don't mind.
Well, and it's funny that Chris would mention this because I was in the car yesterday with some Bitcoin, Ethereum people, and we were talking about the BitPay hack and how there's $1.8 million gone. And what would you do and how would you tumble it? And we kind of realized that it's a long shot, but let's say these guys wanted to be the Robin Hood of software producers. They could pay, let's say, $1 million to have anonymity features developed for Bitcoin, and when the features were developed, they could move the rest of their money using the features that they paid for. So there is an opportunity for high rollers to improve software development, which could then benefit them as well. So.
Did you see the speculation on Reddit the other day about there's an issue with Bitcoin and taxation? Like, how does the tax office prove that you have access to an account and that you haven't lost the keys? In addition to that, how do you verify that BitPay didn't just send things around and they still have control of their stuff? So there's two different things that you can't be sure of that are kind of related, and we didn't say anything like that on the show, and then censorship, however that happened, ended up bringing that up, so I thought that was kind of funny too.
That would be quite something if they stole their own money.
I wanted to just say that I have tested exporting the private key and then importing the private key into ProTip because I had an old version and I had the private key. But I was just wondering, have any of you tried to import a private key from another wallet or use the private key from ProTip in another wallet? I haven't tried that yet because really it's a pretty simple wallet for just a real small amount. You know what I mean? I mean, you do have a private key, so you can do a backup. If someone just wants a wallet on the go, they just have to do a Chrome extension. For some people, that might be good enough rather than downloading.
That's a really good point, actually.
Yeah.
This is actually the easiest Bitcoin wallet to set up if you've got Chrome already installed, because we used this other dude's code. I want to give him a shout out because that's only fair. Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we wanted to Andrew Toth. Let me just get his screen up, because we used his code for the wallet because it obviously saved us a whole bunch of time, but then he stopped maintaining his code, so Leo's now maintaining his code. But that's the benefit of open source, right? So yeah, we took this code because, well, we started off by building our own wallet, and then that didn't work so well. So then we, the old saying is don't roll your own crypto, right? So we took what we felt was the easiest and simplest wallet to get rolling. So this is Andrew Toth, and this is under MIT license. As is GNU v3, which is similar but slightly different in various philosophical ways that I'm copacetic with, which is why we went with it. But essentially, it just means that you can, take the code and use it. It means that you have to keep the code open source too. That's the big difference between MIT and GNU. But I'm one of those Stallman fans, so I'm all about copyleft, and I think that, you know, if you're going to use this, you know, if you're a large company, I don't know, let's say Pantera Capital, and let's say you've got some ownership in some proprietary companies that want to make some money, you can't just take this code and use it, you know, proprietarily. No, you have to respect the GNU license. So you have to open source it too, and we're happy with that. And more, you know, power to you. If you make lots of money for your shareholders and your stakeholders, then that's great. We don't care. All we really care about is that any improvements that you make to our code base, you give back to the community, and so everyone benefits as a whole. That, you know, so as not to be anti-profit. I'm certainly not anti-profit. In fact, I'm very much in favor of voluntary charity over taxation. I see that as having a very powerful future, and I see ProTip as being a step in that direction.
Yeah, it's great. I
I
installed
think
it.
Chris and Theo are making some good points here that ProTip is a fully functional Bitcoin wallet. As you saw in the introduction, Chris had some Bitcoin in his old ProTip account. He used ProTip to send them to his new ProTip account using Bitcoin. Theo mentioned importing the private key. I know I did that when I upgraded from an old version of ProTip to the new version. I just copy and pasted the private key in there. And I think this is also a great way for people to learn about the basics of Bitcoin, how to send it from an address to an address. It seems really weird at first, but it's just like a really long email address that makes no sense. But you just copy and paste it in there, and you can send $1 around. You can send a quarter around. You don't have to send a lot of money to try out Bitcoin. And that's the same thing for ProTip. If you want to put $5 in, tip $1 a week, it's going to last you 5 weeks. And again, you're the one that controls that. We don't set it for you. We don't even know what settings you've chosen. So,
like today, I've spent 9 minutes on my Facebook page looking at myself like a narcissist, and then I spent 5 minutes looking at Thomas's Twitter feed to make sure that MadBitcoins wasn't tweeting about me. Because if they were, I would need to share that and like it and read some more about myself. So I can actually actively gauge how narcissistic I am with ProTip, and then maybe hopefully avoid that kind of behavior going forward, and maybe actually diversify into helping some other people. That probably won't happen because I'm so narcissistic, but maybe some other people might be able to do that.
And also, I should add that ProTip now supports auto-updating, so there'll be no more need for you. Please back up your private key anyway, but there'll be no need for you to keep re-importing it because it will just auto-update. I noticed it does it.
And the NSA has had enough of Chris interrupting and disrupting economics, and now he is probably not alive anymore.
No, Chris was making a good point that ProTip auto-updates, and it copies over the private key for you automatically now. That's just released in the new version. Thank you, Leo, who just got it done last Thursday so that we could launch today. And this really is about you. This is about there's been about 12 people watching live. I want to thank you guys for sticking with us. I want everyone to go to protip.is and to install the program. It's just a Chrome extension. Right now we have about 65 users. My goal by the end of the day is 100 users. I know that's a lot. It's almost double, but I think we can do it. It's totally free. You can just try it out, put a little bit of Bitcoin in there, and see how it works. So I think this is a great way for people to learn about Bitcoin, try out the addresses. It's a very easy wallet. Chris says he's getting server authentication issues, so we might try to end this little podcast here pretty soon. Theo, what's your final thoughts on ProTip? What should people do today?
People should download the Chrome extension, and you should put some Bitcoins on it. And if you don't have Bitcoins, no problem, then just download the Chrome extension and then get your address from the wallet and then put that on your content, and then maybe someone will tip you with the plugin. So I see it also. I just noticed the other day that it is a real simple wallet. So you can suggest this for people as a light wallet, meaning one to put $5 or $10 in just to start with. That's okay, and you can save your private key. And I think that's pretty cool that the wallet already has the function built in that shows you where you've been for how long, etc. And you control your data. That's good. and I want everyone to think about all the private service. I want everyone to think about all the free web services they're on, and what they really cost, because they're not really free. You're just paying with your data and or your content that you're producing for that service. And if we enable this tipping culture, then that can kind of flip the script on that a little bit, and people can get paid for their content, and I think that's good. So let's do it.
Yeah, I definitely
Another
agree.
thing, another thing I was thinking about when Theo was talking is we usually give people $1 in Bitcoin, and I don't know about you, but I'll bet that dollar probably just sits on their wallet. They install Airbits or whatever. They humor me. They listen to what I'm saying about Bitcoin, and I give them $1, and they think it's kind of neat because it sent it there, but it doesn't actually get used. Whereas I think if you put your ProTip address up and you say this goes to my ProTip account, I'm going to use this to tip, and they give you $1, and you set your tipping at like a quarter a week or 10 cents a week, that money actually gets back out into the ecosystem. And that's what I'm talking about when I say spending Bitcoin, and I talk about Bitcoin as a currency and that we have to spend our way there. I think ProTip's the same thing. It uses Bitcoin, and it gets it sent around. And I think that's what we need to be doing more of. Blake, what were you going to say?
Well, I mean, I think that you guys are absolutely right that there's an important need to fund the people that produce the things that you enjoy, and like especially the Bitcoin group is massively expensive for us to produce. We have to do research about all of the pertinent news. We have to filter out what's not relevant or maybe what's not important to the community, and then we have to have an opinion set that is not sycophantic or beholden to any large money bags that we need to get. So if we can continue to be funded by the people that we make the news for, that would be great, because it will allow us to continually never have to compromise the absolute truth in the face of, well, eventually we want to make sure that we can apply for a job here somewhere or get to go to a club that have a sweet party in Vegas when these people are going to go to a conference. And I think that continually developing that kind of situation for not just our show, but for lots of different shows will create a Reddit-style environment where, okay, now news that's popular with readers goes up, and now, content that's popular with actual end-user consumers is getting, more and more support. So I think that's important to think about, too.
If we get a really good tipper, what was the name of the tipper on the donator on the Kickstarter campaign that would be just have, tipped $10,000 and ended the crowdfunding madness? What was the name of that person? You remember what I'm talking about?
Like the patron or the hero or something?
The hero, yeah. So hero, if you're out there, then you can donate, do a big donation to ProTip, and we can have a cool party in Vegas, and we can invite all the cool people. So not only do, we can have some really cool parties in Vegas too. Hey, what's up, Shem?
We'll get a convertible and some ether.
Looks like we're joined by Shem Booth Spain. Can you hear us, Shem? Because we can't hear you. We'll see if Shem gets his audio sorted out. And Chris mentioned, do we have questions and answers? We kind of do. We have a chat room right now. Google doesn't have the question and answer feature in the live events just yet. Dustin from Bitcoin Art Gallery says, this is awesome, guys. Bitcoin Art Gallery will use ProTip or advertise or something. Is there a chance of getting it working on mobile? Chris, do you have any comments on the mobile ProTip ideas? Oh, we lost Shem, and we don't have Chris's audio, so we'll go with it. We're working on mobile. I think it's a much bigger challenge to be on mobile than to be in the Chrome browser where we are now. But I do think developers, if you're out there, you're a mobile developer, you're looking for a good project, here's an open source project ProTip. If you build the other half of it, it'll work on mobile. You could be the one. Rock Barcelos is saying hi. He enjoys Bitcoin Art Gallery publishing his illustrated article. You guys should check it out. It's like the history of decentralization, or decentral since the beginning. Chris, we can hear you now.
Okay, great. I changed microphones. Yeah, I just wanted to say that XKCD also accepts Bitcoin payments. It's very, very small, but it doesn't matter for ProTip. It doesn't care how small the Bitcoin address is. So you can also donate to XKCD. It's one of my favorite online comics. As for mobile, mobile is going to be tricky, yes, however, not impossible. We already had a developer make a suggestion to us about how that could work. But again, yeah, we have no real money left. I mean, we have a few £100 left between us, Leo and I, and Leo is threatening to get a job as well. So, you know, any rich people out there, you know, you want to just send us some money down at the address below this, please do, because I don't want him go off and getting a job. I want us to be able to continue to do this. I'll always, you know, even if I am ill, I don't care. I'm still going to be on Twitter, and I'm going to, you know, be able to support people. And the way I plan to promote this is just by supporting the people that it helps, rather than like self-promotion all the time. Mobile is going to be tricky because, you know, it's a much more closed environment, and until things like the black phone and open source ones emerge, I don't imagine us getting past Apple. But we do have some novel ideas about how this could work. So I won't say much more about that until I've got firmer, but I am talking to developers, and of course, if you are a developer for iOS or Android, please get in touch, because it would be fantastic to work with you.
We've got one more question, then I think we're going to head for the door here. It's a pretty common question. Will ProTip be available on other browsers? Chris?
Bitcoin address is in the description. If you could get us some more money, that would take, I think Theo said it would take a couple of weeks worth of development time. So you're looking at maybe a few $1,000s at least to get up and running. Remember, it needs to be maintained. The reason we chose Chrome isn't because we like Chrome, it's because it's the most common browser. We wanted to hit as many users as possible. We've aimed this, as you can notice, as a Bitcoin user. We've aimed this at the, you know, someone who hasn't used Bitcoin before. You can see, because it's centric around the dollar and the pound and so forth, because we wanted to, you know, accommodate for that. So yeah, it can, but again, we need money to do that. And I think the next few months, let's see how many downloads we get. Please rate the app as well if you download it, because that helps other people then come along and use it. And if there are bugs in it, please don't give us like 1 star and like don't tell us about the bug. Tell us about the bug first, and then we'll fix the bug and rate us on the back of how well we respond to bug requests, because, you know, like I say, Theo is working very hard on that, and so we'll try to be as responsive as we can.
And just a couple more comments from the crowd. William says, great show. Rock says, go ProTip. And King Kurtzig says, breakthrough stuff. Well done, guys. And thanks everybody for watching. And remember, we need everyone to go to protip.is and to spread the word. We also have protip.tips. And we need everyone to install it, tell their friends to install it, ask people to get a Bitcoin address, put that on their web page. As Chris shows you, it doesn't have to be big. That XKCD thing just in the bottom of your footer, just throw it down there, and again, maybe you'll get some tips. You know, that's all you're really doing. You're putting the sign out. My web page accepts Bitcoin tips. Doesn't have to be ProTip. You could just copy and paste that address into your normal wallet. You can use CoPay or Airbits. One more thing from Chris, and then I think we're towards the end of this show. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, and of course, not forgetting the T-shirts. So these wonderful designs by Louis Chang at Proof of Work agency in London. That's Proof of Work. If you look up Proof of Work on Twitter and Louis Chang, I'll give them a tweet out later on our Twitter. It's at ProTipHQ. He's done a wonderful job. I don't know which design to go with, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to post these up on the Indiegogo update section. So if you sponsored us, you'll see it there. And if you, I'm sort of going with this one, number 3. I don't know what you guys think, but I like them all. And this is the same graphic that he gave us for the video, so it all ties into the video and stuff like that. So I really like all of them. We're going to go with blue, because I don't want this to be like, you know, death by democracy and everyone's voting, you know, in every direction. But I'm willing to take feedback from the crowd as to which design that they prefer.
All right, and everyone can vote and comment at protip.is. You can see us on Twitter. We're going to use hashtag ProTip. There it is. Jokes are welcome too. You know, spread the word. Do your own thing. Make a video. Make a graphic. Make an audio file. Make a song. Make a song about ProTip. Remix a song. And put your own Bitcoin address in there. Raise money for yourself. And that's what this is about. And thanks to everyone who donated. Thanks everyone. Thanks Leo for coding this. Thanks Chris for doing the heavy lifting. Thanks Theo and Casernia. And Shem was here. Blake is here. Thanks to Rock and Dustin, the chat, everybody in the chat. And I think I'm done thanking people. and there's the band's going to play me out. So I think that's it for ProTip. Hopefully we'll do maybe we'll do another one of these in a week or so, give you an update, see how things are going, and we'll just, again, we don't have a marketing budget. You guys are the marketing department. I'm going to retweet, you're going to retweet, copy and paste, put it on the forums, somebody tell Reddit, see if Reddit's interested, that kind of thing. So until next time, we're out of time. Bye-bye.